Hi, welcome to my channel. Now we uncover the untold story of the 9/11 attacks, the day the world stood still. On the bright morning of September 11th, 2001, the world changed forever. In less than 2 hours, 4 hijacked airplanes turned into weapons of terror, striking at the heart of America's power and economy. Thousands died, millions were shaken, and the world entered a new era of fear, war, and global unity against terrorism. This tragic event, now simply known as 9/11, became one of the darkest yet most defining moments in modern history. A morning like any other, it was a calm Tuesday morning in the United States. The sky was clear and blue over New York City. People were on their way to work, school, and daily routines. Inside the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center, thousands of employees were starting their day. At 8:46 a.m., that peaceful morning shattered when American Airlines Flight 11 crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. Many thought it was a terrible accident. Perhaps a small plane had lost control. But just 17 minutes later, at 9:03 a.m., the world watched in horror as United Airlines Flight 175 slammed into the South Tower. It was no accident. America was under attack. The shock across the nation. News channels immediately broke into live broadcasts. Millions of viewers saw the flames and smoke rising from the Twin Towers. Panic spread. People inside the buildings were trapped on upper floors, waving for help from windows. Firefighters and police officers rushed into danger to rescue as many as possible. At 9:37 a.m., another hijacked plane, American Airlines Flight 77, crashed into the Pentagon, the headquarters of the U.S. Department of Defense, near Washington, D.C. By now, it was clear this was a coordinated, planned terrorist attack. At 9:59 a.m., the South Tower collapsed in a massive cloud of dust and debris. People screamed, ran, and fell as the streets of Manhattan turned into chaos. At 10:28 a.m., the North Tower also fell. Within 102 minutes, 2 of the tallest buildings in the world were gone. More than 2,700 people in New York died that morning. Office workers, firefighters, paramedics, police officers, and even passers-by. The 4th plane, Flight 93, the 4th hijacked plane, United Airlines Flight 93, was also meant to strike a target in Washington, D.C., possibly the White House or the U.S. Capitol. But the passengers on board learned about the other attacks through phone calls. Realizing what was happening, they decided to fight back. They stormed the cockpit, trying to take control from the hijackers. The plane never reached its target. It crashed in a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania, at 10:03 a.m. Every passenger aboard died, but their bravery likely saved hundreds or even thousands more. Their final words, recorded through phone calls, became symbols of courage. "Let's roll." Who was behind the attack? Soon after the attacks, intelligence agencies identified the group responsible. Al-Qaeda, a radical Islamist terrorist organization led by Osama bin Laden. Al-Qaeda's ideology was built on hatred toward the United States and its allies, blaming them for the suffering of Muslims in the Middle East. The attackers, 19 men from countries including Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and the UAE, had trained for months in flight schools in the U.S. They hijacked 4 commercial planes and used them as missiles, following a plan created by Al-Qaeda leaders years earlier. The collapse of the Twin Towers. The Twin Towers were symbols of global business and New York's skyline. Each was 110 stories tall, built with steel frames, and designed to withstand normal aircraft impacts. However, the intense heat from the burning jet fuel, reaching nearly 1,000 degrees Celsius, 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit, weakened the steel structures. As the floors collapsed one after another, the weight caused the entire buildings to crumble vertically, trapping thousands inside. Rescue efforts continued for days, but very few survivors were found. The images of people jumping from the towers to escape the flames remain some of the most haunting visuals in modern history. The human toll. In total, 2,977 people were killed in the 9/11 attacks, including 2,753 at the World Trade Center and surrounding areas in New York. At the Pentagon, 340 on Flight 93. More than 6,000 others were injured, and hundreds of firefighters and rescuers later died from lung diseases caused by toxic dust inhalation. The victims came from over 90 different countries, showing that the attack was not just against America, it was against humanity itself. The global response reacted with shock and sympathy. Countries around the globe held vigils, lowered flags. For a brief moment, the world stood united against terror. President George W. Bush addressed the nation that evening, declaring, "Terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America." He announced a new global campaign, the War on Terror, to hunt down the people responsible and prevent future attacks. The war in Afghanistan. Within weeks, the United States launched Operation Enduring Freedom. In October 2001, its goal was to destroy Al-Qaeda's bases in Afghanistan and remove the Taliban, who were providing them safe haven. American and Allied forces quickly defeated the Taliban government, but Osama bin Laden managed to escape. The war in Afghanistan would become the longest war in U.S. history, lasting nearly 20 years. In 2011, nearly 10 years after 9/11, U.S. Navy SEALs found and killed Osama bin Laden in Abbottabad, Pakistan, under a secret operation ordered by President Barack Obama. Changes in America and the world. After 9/11, the U.S. and much of the world changed forever. Airports introduced strict security screenings. Passengers were no longer allowed to enter cockpits. The newly formed Department of Homeland Security was created to protect the country from future threats. Surveillance systems expanded, immigration rules tightened, and anti-terrorism laws increased government powers to monitor suspects. While many supported these actions, others worried about the loss of privacy and civil rights. Rebuilding. One World Trade Center. The destruction of the Twin Towers left a deep scar on New York's skyline and spirit, but the people of the city refused to be broken. In 2006, construction began on a new skyscraper, One World Trade Center, also known as the Freedom Tower. Completed in 2013, it now stands 1,776 feet tall. symbolizing America's independence year. Next to it is the 9/11 Memorial, with two reflecting pools marking the footprints of the fallen towers. The names of every victim are engraved on bronze panels, a permanent reminder of the lives lost. Conspiracy theories and questions. Despite official investigations, 9/11 also gave rise to many conspiracy theories. From claims of government involvement to questions about the collapse speed of the towers. The 9/11 Commission report, published in 2004, provided detailed evidence that Al-Qaeda alone was responsible. Still, debates about intelligence failures, missed warnings, and political decisions continue to this day. The legacy of 9/11. The 9/11 attacks reshaped global politics, security, and even culture. They led to two major wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, costing trillions of dollars and countless lives. They also changed how people view safety, religion, and freedom. For Americans, it became a reminder of vulnerability, but also of unity and resilience. For the world, it marked the beginning of a new age, one defined by the fight against terrorism and the search for peace in an increasingly divided world. Stories of hope and heroism. Amidst all the tragedy, stories of bravery emerged. Firefighters climbing hundreds of stairs, knowing they might never come back. And strangers helping each other escape through smoke and debris. And lines 3. Ordinary citizens risking their lives to save others. These moments showed that even in the darkest hour, humanity's courage and compassion could shine brighter than fear. End. Conclusion. The day the world stood still. The events of September 11th, 2001, were not just an attack on buildings. They were an attack on hope, peace, and humanity itself. But from the ashes rose a renewed spirit of unity and determination. The world did stand still that day, in shock, in grief, in disbelief. Yet when it moved again, it moved forward with a promise: never forget. Finally, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this World History Facts Hub channel.